Making the team?
It's a blessing. Overall, it's just a great feeling. It's like I said, it's just a blessing to come out here to had the opportunity to not only play football but to hopefully help the team win games.
Who was the first people that you told, and what was the reaction like?
Actually, a lot of people told me. I really, I really didn't know. After the game, people sent me the screenshot. I really didn't know if it was real or not. And then I called my mom. My mom was, hysterical. She was crying. And then I really wasn't even on social media. Then I got on Twitter right after the game, and then I saw the video, and I just had to hit my knees and just thank God for the blessing.
How about the opportunity for you to play some fullback and be
Right.
on offense a little bit? And what kinds of things can you do there, and how cool is that?
I just think the opportunity is, like you said, it's just an opportunity. I just like to play football. I played fullback high school and college, and then, have an opportunity to play it in the NFL to, like, not only just, like I said, to help the team. If they need me to be there to block for whoever, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it to my best of my abilities, and I'm going to have fun doing it, and that's the most important thing for me.
Did you do that at Kent State?
Nah, not at Kent State. I did it when I was at ULM a little bit. And then that was kind of my role, play D-line, play a little fullback, and, just have fun.
What was your approach or mindset coming into camp undrafted, looking to make this happen, to make that 53?
My approach was just take it one day at a time, just get better one day at a time, and, just trust God. I didn't want to, overthink it. I didn't want to put too much on myself. I just wanted to, like I said, just take it one day at a time, and that's all I did. That's all. And then every day I came out here, before I touched the grass, I just thanked God. I prayed, and I just was super grateful just to be out here. I know a lot of my friends I played with in college, they didn't get the opportunity, so I told myself, the moment I'm not grateful for this opportunity, God's going to take that away from me.
I'm sure you were getting positive feedback from coaches all along, but you remember the first time you were given real positive feedback in camp? Was it a practice? Was it a moment? Or what?
Of course I get positive feedback all the time, but I just try to take that with a grain of salt. I don't want to overload myself with that thing and just lose my edge, lose my hunger. Like I said, I try to stay starving. If coach tells me I did something good, well, let me continue to work on that. But allow me to continue to work on those things that I did to get me to that level and to that point.
When you look around and you see that there's Myles Garrett over there, and there's Mason Graham maybe next to you,
Right.
What is that like to just be on a defensive line with these kind of guys?
I think it's a blessing. In the summer, I went out there with Myles. I trained with Myles a little bit. Was out there with Micah Parsons, Will Anderson, Donovan that got drafted for the Cowboys. And Alex Wright and Isaiah was out there as well. So, just seeing myself getting out there and getting out my comfort zone, being with those guys, training, seeing how athletically I stack up, mentally, and just seeing. And it was a lot of competition. So when I was able to come out here, I told myself before I came out here, Adin, you was out there with those guys, you trained with those guys, you know your abilities, you know what God gave you to do. So just go out here and just trust the abilities he gave me and just have fun.
Kevin said the physical nature of your play is what stood out and what allowed you to go on special teams and fullback. Is that always something that has really separated you from everybody else?
I think so. I think, a big thing for me is just, playing with a relentless effort. That's what stands out. I mean, I'm 290 pounds. I ran a 4.6, but just the ability to showcase that, I just can't do that one play. I got to do that every play. So my process into that is making sure I'm conditioned, making sure that I'm getting on the assault bike, I'm doing my rounds on the assault bike. So in those moments where I have to run down there on punt and then I have to play the defensive drive, I had that win so there's no drop off and I can stay fresh and play my game.
Did you have other offers to sign after the draft?
I did. I had, a couple teams that offered, but for myself, from around 2 weeks before when Jock had called me, he wanted to meet. We met a couple times. I think we had like a 2-hour Zoom session one time, and then, deep down, I said to myself, maybe this is the place I want to be. And, deep down, I had the talks, and then, unfortunately, I didn't get drafted, and I can't control that. But I knew, okay, if I come to Cleveland, what's my opportunity going to be, and how am I going to make sure that I stay in Cleveland, not just come for OTAs, not just come for training camp, but make sure, I can stay here and make an impact.
Kevin's such a close to the vest type of a coach. He doesn't reveal a lot. So what did it mean to you that after that game on Saturday, you said, yeah, Aiden's made this football team?
Like I said, it's a blessing. When God's able to work through you and work through other people, and, he does the unnatural. You know, he does things that ain't familiar and that haven't been done before. So, you know, it's just a blessing, like I said, just to hear that announcement. But just to have the opportunity to have those snaps, had the opportunity to go run down there on kickoff, to start the game at fullback, and then make the plays I made at defense. It just was a blessing.
Did your phone blow up after that game?
Yes, it did. It did. It blew up, but I just, like I said, I try not to get too high on those things. I don't want to. My journey doesn't stop right now just because I made the 53-man roster. It's just beginning. So whatever I did to get here, I have to continue to do that, and that doesn't matter if I still have to get here at 6 in the morning, get in the tubs, stretch, and just make sure that I'm physically ready to come out here and perform. That's what I have to do.
So we asked Andre this question: who's the first person you called when it was official that you were on the team?
Like I said, I didn't really call anybody when I officially, I guess, after the game, or officially today at 4 o'clock, I'm on the team. But I had my mom. I talked to my mom. I talked to my dad, my aunts. I have a big family, so just they were reaching out to me. People were sending me the video, and it just was surreal.
Adin, I saw it looked like you reposted Brian Baldinger did that breakdown of everything you did good on Saturday. I know guys love when he does that. How cool was that?
Actually, I've been watching Brian Baldy for years. I had videos saved in my Twitter, and actually one of my goals, coming here was, him to make a positive video about me. So when I had saw I got tagged, I looked at the phone, I blinked, it was surreal. And in that moment, I just thank God, because like I said, that was one of my goals. And a lot of times people get those videos for not so positive things. So just for it to be a positive video, and and it's positive reinforcement. But like I said, I have to continue to work. I have to continue to do the things that I did to get me here, and maybe even do a little bit more so I can stay here.
Adin, those workouts with like Myles and Micah, those were in Dallas, or where were those?
Yes, sir. We was in Dallas.
And how did you get to be included with those guys?
It was just an opportunity. I remember in mini camp, Myles had came back, and I actually had talks about going to train with another guy. But when Myles said it was the end of practice, he said, "Look, I'm gonna be in Dallas for 5 weeks. I'm gonna send my address. I'm gonna send where we working out. Pull up if you want to." And I said to myself, well, I was just gonna go back to Virginia and just work out at home. So I called my dad. I said, "Hey, this is the opportunity." And I could, and fear would have had me stuck at home. Fear would have had me back at home trying to be comfortable, but I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to text Myles. He probably didn't have my number saved. I had to fly out there basically on a whim. Had the opportunity to stay with him as well and get fully immersed in opportunity. But like I said, just stepping out of my comfort zone and having that opportunity.
What made you step out of that comfort zone, fight that fear?
I just had to, either I had the fear of staying the same, or I had the fear of getting better. And that was a big thing for me. Like I said, I could have went back to Virginia. I had the necessities to train and get better, but I had to see where I aligned myself with guys like Myles, guys like Micah, guys like Will Anderson, and A. Wright and Isaiah. So me stepping out my comfort zone, it gave myself a mental check to be like, okay, you stack up. Okay, this is where you are at. Myles is a different breed, but it doesn't matter. You have to compete every day, and for myself, I went in there every morning to compete, to get better, and I feel like, me just going there for those 3 weeks, it allowed me to, just physically, it changed my body physically, mentally, and I was able to showcase that during this training camp.
When you say you stayed with Myles, did you actually stay at his house? Or
Oh yeah.
How did that go?
So I had the opportunity. I asked him. I said, I remember it was after the mini camp. I went up to him in the locker room. I said, "Hey, you got a place? You got a place for me?" And he told me straight up. He said, "If an older guy wants the room, he has it." And I said, "Okay." So I just went out on a whim. I went down there, and he actually blessed me. He blessed me. I had the opportunity, like I said, to stay at his house. Got up, worked out, and I got to have the full Myles Garrett experience.
So many D linemen pride themselves, including Myles, on their bag of pass rush moves and creating combos, things that are unique to them. What does that look like for you? What are you hoping to add to your bag or develop now that you have made this team?
I'll just say for myself, just sharpening my saw. I got to sharpen my saw every day. I just got to continue to work on my process. It's not really about adding different moves. It's just about, like I said, sharpening the moves that got me here. If that's the power, if that's a cross chop, if that's an inside move. And it's about, Coach Jock and Amo continuing to develop me as into a player, because I'm not a finished product yet. I still have, years and years and years to go to the places I want to get to, and the man I want to be, and the football player I want to be. So I have to dive deep into what they're telling me, working on my pad level, working on my hip rotation, and just being humble enough to hear that and not have any pride in being like, well, what I did before works, but I just got to continue to grow. I have to continue to get better and work on that.
Can I ask one more follow-up question real quick on staying with Myles? Was this just like you and Myles in some kind of a house or townhouse, or is this his parents' house?
Nah,
family? Is this his house?
Yes, this he blessed. You know, I had the opportunity to stay at his house. And you know, like I said, it was a blessing. You know, he didn't have to do that. You know, like I told him after, I'm forever indebted to you. I'm grateful for this opportunity because, like I said, I'm an undrafted rookie. He didn't know me, but from 3 days of a mandatory mini camp, and he let me come out there and train with him. So, and I was blessed to have that opportunity.
Adin, you passed from Kent State to ULM to Lane. How did those kind of, you know, stepping out of you talked about stepping out of your comfort zone. You know, some people would just stay at Kent, or you know, but you kept sort of climbing the ladder, trying to pursue more. How much did that sort of require a little, you know, kind of a leap of faith as well?
I think every time I hit the portal, that was me stepping out my comfort zone. I could have stayed at Kent State and maybe I'm not the man I am now. You know, maybe I didn't become the player I wanted to be, but me stepping out on faith and me telling my dad, like, look, I think I outgrew this opportunity. I think I need to go somewhere else. I went to Monroe, Louisiana. I'm from Virginia. That's 17 hours away from home. I remember I took about 3 duffel bags. I hopped on the flight. I bought my ticket and I went to Monroe, Louisiana, and that's how I started. I remember being in the in my place, and every day I'm just getting Amazon packages, growing and growing and growing. So me having to step out of my comfort zone and really you know, build my own foundation there, and then just leaving ULM at a place where I, you know, made my name for myself, and then going to New Orleans, going to Tulane, going into a different scheme. I mean, that's really just, you know, they just tested me. You know, it tested me mentally, spiritually, physically. And I had a lot of ups and downs, but if I didn't go through a lot of those things and a lot of those adverse times, then I wouldn't be standing here right now.
Adin, you talked about playing with a relentless effort. Where do you sort of think along the way of your career you sort of developed that mentality? You know, was it when you were younger playing football? Was it throughout all these different stops you made? Just how did you kind of come to be?
Well, my dad really had told me, he was like, you got to chase the ball down. You got to chase the ball down. And I'm like, nah, you know, because I really didn't chase the ball. And then you do it one time, and they're like, yo, that's different. And then that just becomes who you are. Like for myself, I see ball, I get ball. I gotta go hit somebody. If I'm out on that football field, I'm itching. I'm really itching to hit somebody. I just want to make an impact whenever I can and however I can. That's why I love running down on kickoff. I love running down on punt. If I see the ball carrier, if I see him in open space, I'm praying he cuts back. I just need that opportunity, you know, just to hit somebody. So, you know, that relentless effort, you know, it was instilled in me from my dad, and then I just took it and I just ran. Literally, I just ran with it.
On those 2 sacks, you say you like to see ball, hit ball. Kind of what is that going through your head when you see quarterback just right in front of you waiting to be sacked?
Well, I said, oh yeah, he can't get away. You know, I had a couple QB hits throughout the preseason, and I had the one against the Eagles, and I was upset because I felt like he got away. And you know, Coach Jock always talks about our finish. You got to finish to the quarterback. The last 2 steps of your rush is the most important. It's the finish. Sacks get you paid. You know, I tell myself every sack a D tackle gets is worth $2.5 million. So I have to get those sacks. I have to stack them sacks up. And, you know, it's not about money, but I got to get them sacks. That's an opportunity. You know, I can't leave money out on the field because that could change a game, that could change an opportunity, and that could flip momentum positively for the team.
What is your dad's name?
David Huntington.
Did he play ball?
Nah, he like to say he could have, but nah. But you know, without his genes, without him and my mom's genes, you know, I wouldn't be here right now. So I'm blessed.
Pretty good. Hey, thanks.
All right, thank y'all. Nice to meet y'all. Thank you.
Nice to meet
Thank
you
you.
too.